Hello, I'm Brian C. Mears, and this is Beneath the Dot, a series where we look into some of the more complex pieces of artwork that I've created over the last decade of drawing. Today we're looking at The Guardian. This is a piece that came to me as a vision during a time where I was feeling very vulnerable, raw, exposed. I knew that things were shifting and changing, not exactly sure how, and I don't know if I could even articulate it now. But definitely reality has slowly shifted and changed over time. Physically, this piece was actually drawn back in 2003. Had a lot of meaning, had a lot of shift in my life during that time period. Because of that shift, that's one of the reasons why the turtle shells, or the turtle's actually pulling back the fabric of reality to be able to see what's underneath it, what's in there for investigation, what deeper meanings can we find. Also holding a sacred space with all of the temples that it contains, and the sacred geometry up at the top with the dodecagram, and its holding of creation and harmony and peace. Plus, the whole thing is filled with light language. So I'd love to be able to share it with you. Please join me as we dive on in and take a closer look. So let's get into it. Here's the original piece of artwork, The Guardian. It's a turtle dragon with twin trees of life growing out of its shell. Upon its back, we have some sacred sites. Between the trees, we have a dodecagram, which is sacred geometry, and the turtle's feet are pulling back the fabric of reality. Let's go look at some of these details. We'll zoom in first to the dodecagram. I'll point out that it actually has silver and gold ink around it, so we can see the reflection there of the lights as we get closer. Dodecagram is a 12-pointed star, is an ancient symbol of creation, balance, harmony, the cycles of nature, and protection. So from there we can see the radiating lines, which are also light language, coming out, both silver and gold in those spaces. And the radiates throughout the entire piece. Pausing briefly on the left tree over here, we can see that there's light language throughout all of the tufts. Each one of those is just completely filled with different versions of light language. Down the other one. Looks like my camera's having a difficult time figuring out where to focus today. Fascinating. We'll zoom over to the other tree here real fast and see that it's fairly similar. Lots of other pieces of light language and code that's going through there. There is a bit of a piece of humor there that we have an Ewok village that's sitting in the tree. My family and I are big Star Wars fans. Kind of made sense to have a little bit of a nod towards something comical in the rest of this piece. At the center, we find the dragon's head. Now, this is based off of a Naga. Naga is considered a guardian of doorways and is generally considered beneficial to humans. Of course, it's a dragon, so be nice and they'll be nice to you. The three horns there across the dragon's head actually we'll look at in just a moment, as far as it fills into another piece of the picture. The eye itself was based off of the God's Eye Nebula, and some of my favorite pieces are this leaf scales that come here off the back of the dragon's eyes, back behind there, just because of how delicate it turned into. As we pass down onto the dragon's shell itself, we can see Borobudur in the background, Chichen Itza up front, and over on the left we have a little tree in front of a sacred portal, basically to designate all the things in ancient sacred sites that I couldn't actually get into one piece at one time. Zooming over to the other side, we will find the remnants of Stonehenge and the Great Giza Pyramid, bringing all the sacred sites together, with the exception of one more that we're going to see a gentle nod to in just a moment. Scanning back towards the midline, we find a doorway in the throat of the Naga. The doorway is actually a portal into Agartha, which is considered inner Earth. It's a different frequency than the rest of the planet. It's something that I have found quite fascinating to contemplate and investigate over the years. Around the dragon's neck, we've got a handful of planets that are in there: Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus. And right below the door itself, we've got a representation of the stones that guard Newgrange in Ireland as our final sacred site there. Coming down the legs of the dragon, there's lots of crystals in that space, and we see the dragon's foot pulling back the fabric of reality. And as we zoom in a little closer, we can see that that fabric is actually composed of light language fractals as they go throughout the entire piece. Coming back up to the blue lotus that's right underneath the turtle dragon, the blue lotus is there as a symbol of victory of the spirit over the senses, which is also why we're pulling back the fabric of reality. Here's the other foot for the dragon, and more crystals upon its leg there. And if we look into the light language here, even look closer, we've got some DNA spirals there, along with golden codes that are sort of picking up the light, not quite. And then zooming back out again, this entire piece was actually composed of Orion's constellation. So in the upper left, up here, we have Betelgeuse, the star, the little weird spot there in the sun, or in the tree. And so the two upper pieces of the tree are the shoulders of Orion. The three horns upon the Naga's head are his belt. And then we have his legs being also Orion's legs. So this energy actually came from the Orion constellation. The technicalities on this piece is it took me about 150 hours to draw with ultra-fine point pens, and then plus the gold and the silver ink there as well. The original piece is 22 inches by 17 inches in size, and is by far one of my favorite and most vibrant pieces I feel like I've ever created. Thank you for joining me for the investigation of this piece. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content, and we look forward to seeing you again for another episode of Beneath the Dot. Be well, my friends.